Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another traditional draft of the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. Without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1 Pick 1. We've got an Arwen Mortal Queen, an incredibly powerful mythic rare here. 3 mana for a 2/2 that enters the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it, and you can spend 1 mana to remove that indestructible counter to give another creature indestructible till end of turn, and put a +1/+1 counter and a lifelink counter onto that creature and Arwen. So she plays out as an indestructible card for a little while with this really sick combat trick on board to save another one of your creatures, and then when you spend that, she's like a 3 mana 3/3 lifelink that made another one of your cards a lifelinker permanently. Super busted, really good for the cost. The only thing I don't like about Arwen is the color pair. Green-white hasn't played out super well, but Arwen is a fantastic card that could get me to push into that direction. Well, Pack 1 Pick 2, we now see the Balrog Durin's Bane. A lot of mana to cast this thing, but if you can get this onto the board, it is very hard for your opponent to block it well. It can only be blocked by legendary creatures, and if they do have a legendary to trade into it, it gets to blow up another artifact or creature when it dies. So the Balrog is pretty nasty, pretty sick, and I think I'm just going to take that here, even after taking an Arwen, because it's an incredibly powerful card. The second strongest card in the pack is probably Claim the Precious here. This is a busted removal spell, destroying a creature and having the Ring Tempt You to start leveling up that ring-bearing ability. Just a really good value for the cost. There's also Theoden for aggressive human decks that's incredible, and Reprieve if we just want to take the best card in green or white to go with Arwen. Really strong packs so far out of this draft, but kind of an awkward start. We've got a green-white rare, well, a green-white mythic, and a black-red rare. So for Pack 1 Pick 3, I don't think this pack is very good. This is a very big swing in terms of the power level of this pack versus the last couple. I don't even know what we take here, because none of these cards I'd be pumped to play in green, white, or black, red, and the blue cards aren't really good either. So I guess maybe just an Oath of the Grey Host is okay for a black-red deck. Could also take Eagles of the North. It's fine fixing if we want to splash in an Arwen. I guess I'm just taking an Eagles. That is a big whiplash, though. A ridiculously good Pack 2, and then a pretty horrible Pack 3. Pack 1 Pick 4 now. There's an Eowyn Lady of Rohan for another card to go into our just white good stuff Arwen deck. Seems pretty great to me. We could also take Inherited Envelope if I want to try to play like a 4-color deck and play both of these. I don't think I would take an Envelope this early, but if I saw a Great Hall of the Citadel, which is a land that you can tap and spend 1 to get 2 mana of any colors for legendary specifically, I think I would pick that up. Some kind of 2-color deck that's just using a bunch of Great Hall of the Citadels to splash in a bunch of super powerful legends could definitely be a place to be. Don't think I'm going to go for the Envelope build this early, though. I'll take an Eowyn. Now we've got a Shire Sheriff and a Protector of Gondor out of white. Eagles of the North as well is fine. We could take a Woe's Pathfinder out of green, go for green-white Arwen, and try to also get some mana-fixing cards to help splash in cards like the Balrog, potentially. I think I'll go for Pathfinder here, but Protector of Gondor would also be a really reasonable pick. I think 3 cards deep into green-white, we should be taking one of the green or white cards over the pretty solid Mordor muster out of black here. So I'm going to go for the Pathfinder here. Get some very nice mana ramp and fixing. Now we've got an Errand Rider of Gondor as the best card in the pack. Very happy to see that the best card is on color and great in our deck right now. We have 2 great on-color legends, so this can consistently draw a card. If we get anything where the ring tempts us, any ring bearer we control is also a legendary. Really good card draw off of Errand Rider of Gondor. So I have 0 sagas right now, and it's going to be pretty hard to play 5-color, so I'm not going to try to go for Tom Bombadil. I might still end up in 4 or 5-color splashing the Balrog in, but there's just really little point in playing Tom Bombadil, even if you are 5 colors, because you have to have a ton of sagas as well for Tom to really do anything. So I'm just going to take the Enraged Horn instead, which is the best white or green card. Just really nice value, a 5-mana 4/5 trample, solid for the cost, plus the really important effect where the ring tempts us. Pretty strong pack. There's a Horn and a Rohirrim. for great Ring Tempt cards and a Pelargir Survivor for fixing in blue, which is good too. Not a super great pick. 8. There's a Stalwarts of Osgiliath if we want another card for the Ring to tempt us. Just another 5-drop that lets the Ring tempt. Or a Bag End Porter if we just want some beef. Because we've got 3 legends right now between Arwen, Eowyn, and Enraged Horn. So that could be beefy. Yeah, Stalwarts or Bag End Porter here. I'll go for the Bag End Porter. I don't want to load up on 5-drops this early. And there's another Enraged Horn, so we'll take that instead. Oh no, Great Hall of the Citadel in the same pack as the Enraged card. Alright, I'll take the Great Hall over that so we can get the Balrog in here. We've got a Great Hall of the Citadel and a Woe's Pathfinder to help get there. I'll try it out. Now, Reprieve is the best card in the pack. It's pretty solid for us here. Mirkwood Spider's good. Bag End Porter's good. Took Reaper's good. We're pretty happy to be in green-white here, I think. It's looking like all the best green and white cards are coming back around. Now we have a Banish from Adoras for some filler removal. I'm not going to play any of those white cards. Probably not going to play Shire Sheriff, but more likely than the Graveyard Recursion spell there. Alright, now Aragorn the Uniter. If we have a Great Hall of the Citadel on board, then we can play this off of a Forest, a Plains, and a Great Hall of the Citadel. I mean, we need Great Hall of the Citadel and another land, but any other land, we tap the Great Hall to get red-blue towards Aragorn. And we're already trying to splash Balrog potentially, so green-white, take a bunch of Woe's Pathfinders, a bunch of Great Hall of the Citadels, use them to get Aragorn and Balrog in here. Could be a really fun place to be. So even if we're just green-white primarily, but we're splashing in the Aragorn, this is going to be making a 1/1 human or giving something +4/+4 whenever we cast a spell, which is still quite massive, even if we don't get the scry and the damage and the other fancy effects. So I'm going to take Aragorn here. We're really going to go for it. I haven't gotten to play any of the super splashy multicolored decks in this format yet, so we're going to really go for it. Now we take another Woe's Pathfinder, which is beautiful to help with those cards. Also a Denethor for another legend to splash in, but Pathfinder is going to be really important for us, so I'm going to take those very highly. Saruman of Many Colors. I like splashing in many colors of cards in this deck. We'll take that and grab a Pathfinder. I actually don't think this is that strong, though. You have to cast 2 spells in 1 turn for it to do something. And after you've played a 6-mana card, kind of hard to have multiple spells left over to play in 1 turn after that. So I actually don't think that's like super worth the splash, but should be pretty fun at least. I'm probably supposed to take, if I'm strictly trying to win, if I'm drafting a 5-color build during like a qualifier weekend or something, I'm slam dunking the Pathfinder, but Saruman's cooler, so I'll take that here. We'll just draft the coolest deck we can today. Now we need another Great Hall of the Citadel. I'm going to take that over Mouth of Sauron, since Mouth of Sauron is slightly less cool as an uncommon legend, and Great Hall is looking super important for this deck with Aragorn, Saruman, Balrog to cast off of it. Pack 2, pick 5. Alright, Pippin, join the splash party, because you're a very strong card. This is one of the few, like, 2-mana legends that I think is still pretty strong later in the game, because giving a creature protection from the card type of your choice is absurd. You can just block pretty much infinitely, because you can keep giving one of your creatures protection from creatures. You can also save things from removal. All kinds of stuff can be done with Pippin. Absurd card, we'll take that. Now, guess a Lost to Legend for some removal, but double white can be difficult in like a 4-color deck, but we might be a really weird 4-color deck where we're using exclusively Pathfinders and Great Halls, and we're not actually playing any lands except forests and plains. So Lost to Legend might not be that bad. Actually could check out the curve here. I could use more 2-drops. I could take a Took Reaper, but I'm going to go for the Lost to Legend here. Get some more interaction to go with our Banish as our main piece right now. I think Strider is stronger than Celeborn in a vacuum, so even though Strider's a little harder for this deck to cast, I'm gonna take it because we're doing the thing. Oh, there was another Pippin? Oh, this is pick 8. We haven't wheeled yet, but I guess there's another Pippin. Sure. Oh my god. Alright, I'll take a Stew the Conies here for more removal. Could take Westfold Rider for artifact enchantment removal. This is best of 3 since we're in traditional draft, so I can sideboard it in and out since our deck isn't going to be aggressive enough to really care about the 2 mana 3/1 body. But being able to blow up an artifact or enchantment is still nice. I'm still going to take Stew the Conies though, because that's main deckable in this deck, even if it's slower and grindier. Now I take a Revive the Shire for Graveyard Recursion, because we're not really a combat trick kind of deck that would want to use cards like Second Breakfast or Escape from Orthanc. Take a Bombadil Song, Brandywine Farmer, just some more cards that are probably not making the cut. Maybe Esquire will, since we'll basically always have a legend. Last March of the End, so we're going to make it to 8 mana. We have 2 Woes Pathfinders, probably not. Draw cards equal to the greatest toughness, then put any number of creatures from your hand on the battlefield. This is like fixing, right? I mean, it's mana fixing, because it can play off-color creatures. Come on. I should probably just try to splash it at Fear Fire Foes. We've already got 2 Pathfinders that can cast it, and this thing's just ridiculous. Last March of the Ants is a little more fun, but Fear Fire Foes is still fun, because it's still splashing it in. It's still not just like some basic on-color green or white card. We might even wheel the Last March of the Ents, because we saw Tom Bombadil go super late as well, so this might be a draft pod where nobody's trying to do anything super fun or super wild, and we can just wheel all that kind of stuff. Now I'll take an Errand Rider with all the legends we have. Could take Gimli, but I think Gimli's also a card that's somewhat likely to wheel, because it's not that strong. 3 mana 3/2 that just gets a counter whenever your creatures die. Very slowly kind of gets bigger. Pretty low toughness initially. I'll just take another Errand Rider of Gondor. Alright, I don't have a ton of token production, but I like running more legends, so I'll take a Rosy Cotton here. I guess we can play Shire Terrace. I would much rather find another Great Hall of the Citadel or another Woes Pathfinder. Could also take a Wizard's Rockets, but again, we're super high on legends, and the Errand Rider of Gondor card draw is excellent, so I'm actually going to go for another Errand Rider. Alright, no Woes Pathfinder, no Great Hall of the Citadel. Awkward pack overall. I'm just going to take another Banish to exile opposing threats. I prefer that a lot to the Pacifism removal spell that keeps it on board but just stops it from attacking or blocking. I guess I could splash in Goldberry, but Goldberry doesn't actually do anything. This might be a good Lembas deck. Just scry and draw a card. Gain some life early game. Sure. Dang, we're not finding a 3rd Pathfinder or a 3rd Great Hall of the Citadel in this final pack. That is definitely disappointing. Got a lot of 3-drops with the Errand Riders. Let's get another filler 2-drop in, I think, with Eastmark Cavalier. Because Pippins don't really count as 2-drops. I guess we can just be slow in general. Alright, I'll take a Shire Terrace and play like 1 mountain. 1 island for the double Pippin. Yeah, Shire Terrace to run a single island. I don't know about a single mountain. Definitely a single island because we have double Pippin. Yeah, I've got Fear, Fire Foes, and Strider. Let's run 1 island, 1 mountain with this Shire Terrace. Nothing good here. Take another Bombadil Song I don't believe I'll be playing. Could land cycle an Oliphant, I suppose. Play an Oliphant alongside my 1 mountain. Bunch of stuff I won't be playing. I'll take another Esquire. We got the Wizard's Rockets. Let's go. We're definitely playing that. All right. We are in the splash zone today. Okay, so we have 2 black cards total. Saruman of Many Colors and the Balrog. We have 4 black sources in this deck between 2 Woes Pathfinders and 2 Great Hall of the Citadel, even if I cut a swamp. So I am going to cut the swamp and just rely on those for Saruman on the Balrog. As for red cards, we have Strider, Ranger of the North, Fear, Fire Foes, and the Balrog, and Aragorn, I guess. Aragorn's going to be really hard to just hard cast, but we'll see. So 1, 2, 3, 4 red cards and an Oliphant. So I do want one mountain that I can cycle the Oliphant for or grab off of Shire Terrace. And then for blue cards, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 blue cards. So a little bit less blue than red, but the double Pippin, somewhat early game, makes me want an island alongside our Shire Terrace for that as well. The rest of our lands we can spend on green and white sources. So let's make sure we're sitting at 17 lands right now. We are currently at 14. So we'll just go 15, 16, 17, make them all green sources right now because we have one Plane Cycler and double Pathfinder. So double Pathfinder makes us want green sources pretty badly, and the one Plane Cycler means that we get to have one more white source than it looks like. So we're sitting at 6 white and 7 green, which seems fine to me, and we probably primarily cut down on some more white cards to make green more of a primary color alongside the Woes Pathfinders here. So we get to cut 7 non-land cards here. I don't really want to cut any lands in this deck, even with these land cyclers, because we are going to need mana for all of this splashy nonsense that we're getting into the top end of our curve. So I'm going to make a pile that's just the splashy nonsense pile, and then the mana curve, we only really need to be considered about the curve. We only really need to consider the curve of our green and white spells, because those are the cards we're actually curving out with consistently with this mana base. So 7 cuts. I definitely want to keep Wizard's Rockets in here. Esquire's really just for aggro. We ended up getting enough 2-drops. I don't think I need Eastmark Cavalier. Let me sort all my non-creature spells into a pile as well, because we're not curving out with those. I'll curve out with a Lembas. I think that counts. But Reprieve is also something we'll play off curve. All right, so drop the Esquire and the Eastmark Cavalier. We're just not that aggressive. 5 more cuts to go. Probably cut mainly some more creatures. We do not have a lot of token production for Shire Sheriff to really do anything outside of being a 2/2 Vigilance, so I'm going to cut that. I'll still keep Nimble Hobbit, so I actually have an early game blocker, just a 1/3. Help survive a little bit. Excuse me. Eowyn is definitely a lot worse than a deck that's not actually getting into combat as often, which is definitely how our deck is shaping up to be. But I'm still going to leave Eowyn in for our triple Errand Rider of Gondor to have a lot of legends. Wow, I don't have much room in this deck. I got to cut 4 more cards, and I don't really want to cut anything. I guess since I am going higher on green than white, double white's pretty hard for Lost to Legend. We can sideboard that in if we need more removal than double Banish and Stew the Conies. And Fear Fire Foes counts as removal. It's just a little harder to cast. Okay, so 3 more cuts to go. I guess I am just cutting more just random aggro dorks. All in on big random legends, so cut the Bag End Porter, cut 1 of the 3 Errand Riders, and cut a Nimble Hobbit. Should probably cut the Horn, because I've got tons of like late game stuff, and not a lot of the Ring Tempts You, so the Ring Tempting Us is actually not that valuable unless we have a bunch of cards to do it. Because you really want to get to level 2 where you're drawing and discarding a card every turn, or get to level 4 where you're finishing your opponent off with it. So actually I think I cut the Tree Folk over the 3rd Errand Rider. I think triple Errand Rider still seems pretty great. But we'll just start the deck out with not a lot when it comes to early game blockers. We've got more in the sideboard if we need them. We have Nimble Hobbit, we have a couple like 2-mana 2/2s like Shire Sheriff and the Eastmark Cavalier. So if we end up against a super aggressive deck, we can streamline the deck a bit more, get it more lower on the mana curve. But I think starting off with the biggest, splashiest pile possible is the funnest way to do this, and also a pretty decent way power level wise, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to call it a deck here. Alright, here's a look at our completed deck list for today. Whatever happens, we're going to have a lot of fun with this one, because we are on a Great Hall of the Citadel splashy deck. So the way you build these, you pick your 2 primary colors, you draft a bunch of powerful off-color legends, and you draft some Great Hall of the Citadel to cast them. So we are in green and white as the main colors, which is extra helpful because now double Woes Pathfinder help us cast all of our off-color legends. So we're just kind of grinding things out with some average green and white cards in the middle here. Lots of good card draw with triple Errand Rider of Gondor in a legend-heavy deck. and some decent interaction between Stew the Conies and Double Banish to deal with opposing threats, and a Reprieve to slow our opponent down. And then we're hoping to get there off of some Great Halls, a Shire Terrace, a Wizard Rockets, and a couple Woes Pathfinders. We'll be casting Aragorn, Saruman of Many Colors, the Balrog, and a couple Pippins for some really strong legends to try to close the games out. So going to be a pretty spicy deck today. We'll have to see how the mana base works out for us, because that is going to be the big determining factor in how well the deck does. But no matter what, it's going to be a real fun one to play. So without further ado, let's just hop into the gameplay and see how it does. Here we are for round 1 on the play. We've got a turn 2 Pathfinder, we have both of our main colors, and we've got an Arwen Mortal Queen, so a pretty powerful start to this game. We'll definitely keep and see how things turn out for us. We're playing against Goblin Heel Cutters, so they're probably black-red. The Goblin and Orc color pair here, if they're just drafting their favorite archetypes. Yep, there's a Mountain. Mountain to get them started. Here's a Woes Pathfinder on turn 2, and we've drawn into a Pippin, so we can even cast this off-color card already off of just the Pathfinder. So that should be sweet. We are against blue-red. I'm gonna kind of want to just jam out Arwen. That's pretty mana efficient, but we could play Pippin and get a Wizard's Rockets on board. I think Pippin is really good, so I'm gonna slam Pippin down. Arwen's also really good, but let's get the Pippin out first. It also does play better against a counter spell, because I think I would be slightly more disappointed if Arwen got countered, because we do have another copy of Pippin in our deck, so this way drawing another Pippin is not a dead draw. There's a Balrog to cast off our Wizard's Rockets later, so let's just jam out Arwen and hope they don't have double Glorious Gale in the opening hand here. Okay, they don't have double Gale, so there's an indestructible Arwen. The awkward part is that one of the common removal spells in blue-red is Smite the Deathless, and that gets rid of indestructible on whatever you shoot with it. So Arwen actually isn't that insane against red decks. They could relatively easily have a removal spell that can kill Arwen in this format. There's a Captain of Umbar, just a 2/3 that can draw a card, discard a card every turn. That is fine with me, and it's gonna work out pretty swell that they countered my Pippin, because we draw the next Pippin. And I'm gonna, oops. And I oop. I'm gonna attack with Arwen here, because I can just remove the counter and turn Arwen into a 3/3 to kill the Captain if they block. I get rid of the indestructible, but I'm not super married to that indestructible counter. If they don't block, I think I will just hit for 2 and keep that flexibility of giving something else indestructible till end of turn. But if they do block, I would bite the bullet there and just kill the Captain here. Not have the indestructibility in the future. Fall of Care Andros. When they deal excess non-combat damage to our stuff, they get to also amass X. Okay, this is going to be a spooky matchup, because I think our deck is generally pretty slow, and this card is great in slow, long games of Magic, because once they get to 8 mana, they just have infinite removal spells. They just cast 1 per turn, dealing 7 to a creature. Alright, hopefully they don't have some kind of wild trick here, and this just pans out well for us. Looks like the case. We just eat the 2/3 and go to our turn, hit for 6 with lifelink, and this has vigilance, so I still have the ability to give something protection from a card type. This looks like a pretty big victory game 1, but we'll have to see what they have to follow this up. But I think that attack into our Arwen trick panned out really poorly for our opponent, and now we've drawn another land to get closer to the Balrog and have Stew the Conies mana up, have Reprieve mana up if they play anything too explosive. 2 swings from these 2 will kill our opponent, so I'm feeling pretty confident in our position here, because now the Pippin isn't summoning sick either, so it can even just protect our cards from their removal spells. Game 1's looking great for us, but I am a little worried about the matchup as a whole in the future, with Fall of Care Andros being able to do some nasty stuff if we don't have a particularly fast curve. So there's a Breaking of the Fellowship. So what are they? Target creature deals damage equal to its power to another one. I can reprieve that, and then they have to recast it, and then I counter the recast with Pippin's ability. Or I can just use Pippin's ability here. So we make them pay for the ward first. So if I give Pippin protection from sorceries, then this doesn't resolve, because it doesn't have a legal target anymore. And if I give Arwen protection from creatures, then Arwen doesn't take the damage from Pippin anymore. So I think either way is fine. Oh, I can't give Pippin protection. Hold up. I don't know what the blue and the orange mean. I think it means Arwen is the one taking damage? I'm just going to reprieve it because I'm not certain. I wish Arena would tell me what the colors meant. I don't know how to check that. I feel like it should have the word target creature highlighted in orange or blue. Maybe it did and I didn't notice. Maybe I was a little colorblind there. Okay, now they're just going to do it again. Yeah, it's not highlighted. What does the blue and orange mean? Which one is dealing the damage and which one's taking the damage? I imagine Arwen's dealing damage to Pathfinder, judging by the fact that that's the only way they would kill one of these, so... We'll give the Pathfinder protection there. Okay. Cool. So now I suppose... I think I know for the future. Blue was the one that was dealing damage? I've already forgot. I've already forgotten. Alright, hello Gandalf. There's a blocker, which I can banish this turn and hit for 6 still. So that's the play. I could cast a Saruman, but let's just end the game if we can. I'm sure we'll have future opportunities to cast Saruman. And there you go, 1-0 to start off round 1. And I'm just going to run it back here. I think the matchup is fine. Again, scared if we have a slower hand here against that Fall of Karandros, but we don't really have removal that can deal with that, so we don't have a sideboard for that card. So we run it back. Alright, here we are for game 2. I don't love this hand. All we're going to be doing is playing an Errand Rider, but I don't hate it either, because the Errand Rider lets me turn one of these lands into something a little more valuable. And we've got 3 out of 5 colors here, white, green, and blue. So I don't hate it. It is a slower hand, so if they just play like a turn 3 fall again, I'll actually be very concerned this game. And if they show us a bunch of aggressive stuff that we didn't see game 1, they could just beat us down. But they do look like a slower deck. There's Pelargir Survivor. Great Hall the Citadel is a great draw. That means we'll get to play Strider on turn 4. I'm probably still going to play Errand Rider and then Strider, even though I wouldn't have to ditch a card if I do it the other way. We're on 7 lands. I don't think I'm going to need the 7th mana. I can get rid of the 7th mana to draw another card. Now I'm going to draw Balrog and no more lands for the rest of the game somehow. Alright, there's a Flamesmith. They are definitely getting more aggressive this game. Their blue-red spells deck is curving out with a mana dork for their spells and a Flamesmith to shoot us every time they cast an instant or sorcery. So we will probably just be trading Errand Rider of Gondor off as quickly as possible, just to prevent as much damage as possible. There's the Oliphant for the red source naturally, but with Great Hall the Citadel, the only thing I need a mountain for is Fear Fire Foes. So unless I draw that, I think I'm just going to keep the Oliphant in hand in case I find another red source to cast it. And then whenever I draw into a Fear Fire Foes, I can just cycle the Oliphant and play the Fear Fire Foes in the same turn regardless. So we have perfect mana for everything in our deck except Fear Fire Foes now, thanks to Great Hall the Citadel. I'm definitely going to try to trade into Flamesmith. If they have the -3/-0 Amass an Army, that's going to be great for them here, but I'm happy for them. I love that card. Be happy to see some other players get some great use out of it. Dreadful as the Storm, I'm less happy about because it's less cool. But I think Deceive the Messenger would have been stronger. So I guess it's a net positive that it was Dreadful as the Storm instead of Deceive the Messenger. Because they could have Deceived and still had 3 mana up for something else. That would have been super nasty. And they'd have another creature on board. Deceive the Messenger's so good. If I weren't recording videos, I would just pick one pack one Deceive the Messenger. I love that card so much. So here's Strider, big blocker. They can keep hitting with Pelargir Survivor since it is a Ring Bearer. It gets to sneak right on by, but instead they're just going to throw the Survivor at the Strider and kill him. Sad day. Sad day for Strider. 1 mana off from playing Eowyn and an Errand Rider, but that's okay. I can play Eowyn this turn since Eowyn blocks the Flamesmith forever. And chips in for 2 a turn, and then I could potentially double Errand Rider next turn if Eowyn doesn't die, and just straight up draw 2. Even if Eowyn does die, I can still cast both the Errand Riders, I just won't be able to straight up draw a card. I'll have to draw a card and ditch my Forest, draw a card, ditch my Oliphant, stuff like that. So ideally Eowyn doesn't die, and Eowyn has not died. They are going to get a level 2 Ring Bearer, which is very good off of this Birthday Escape. Luckily for us, our Eowyn is a 2/4, which blocks 2 power Ring Bearers really well. So until they clear out Eowyn, we've got the blocker to just get their Ring Bearer off of the board. And there's the natural mountain for the Oliphant and the Fearfire foes, so I don't need to cycle Oliphant. Let's go. Let's drop an Errand Rider first before I play my land for turn in case I draw something that wants a certain color of mana. But I don't, so we'll just play another Errand Rider. Get a Lembas here. I'm going to go for Vigilance here and attack in. They could double block to kill Eowyn, but then I kill their Ring Bearer. And they are not going to double block. Now I have to choose between an Oliphant and a Lembas. I should probably just play the Oliphant. I'm getting pretty low. I'm at 12 here. So if they manage to clear out Eowyn and get a ring-bearing attack in, maybe I should play Lembas and try to scry into some stuff and gain some life. But they don't. They just play an Eomer attack with the Ring-Bearer. We're going to have Eowyn kill the Ring-Bearer, and we're going to double block Eomer to kill that. So they don't keep getting 1/1s. So their board state's just a 2/1 and a 1/1. We drop an Oliphant against that board state for sure. If they don't have removal in their hand, then the Oliphant should clutter things up, keep us from taking more damage. Oh, they discard Fall of Care Andros? Uh-oh. On the one hand, I like that they don't get to take over the game with that. On the other hand, I don't like that they have something better than that in their hand. I guess we'll find out what it is. Oh yeah, we get to keep Eowyn. It's not even a chump block yet because it's not a level 3 Ring Bearer. Or it's not even a trade yet because it's not a level 3 Ring Bearer. So yeah, I'm really happy to just do that and then play an Oliphant because now we've got 2 blockers that are both big enough for this board state. And then I can just start giving the Oliphant Vigilance every turn. Just going for that. Feels pretty good. There's a Gandalf. And what is the last card? Did they keep Gandalf over the fall? Maybe they kept the Gandalf over the fall since they only have 6 mana on board and they need 8 mana to start using fall. I could see that. That might be what happened. Alright, let's scry one and draw a card. Arwen, what a draw. So now they cannot kill the Oliphant, because we can just give it indestructible and lifelink this turn. Before they could have double blocked it and killed it, but now they can't. And I can get lifelink on something, so I could jam in with Eowyn, but I'll just hold Eowyn back so I don't have to do that. Just use the counter on Oliphant here, instead of like attacking with Eowyn, getting Eowyn double blocked and having to use the counter over there. Okay, if they don't block, I'll just deal the 6 and play a Pathfinder, and I'll still have 1 mana up to use Arwen's ability against a removal spell. If it isn't the removal spell that gets rid of indestructible. Okay. They play a land. Now I can give something +3/+3 trample out of nowhere, and I've got enough mana to do that and the lifelink indestructible thing. Now we've got a Pippin coming up. So Vigilant Oliphant, send in these two now that I've got both those tricks. Maybe even just lethal here. I mean, they both already have trample. Don't even need the Pathfinder for trample, but I could do it for extra damage. They're currently taking 9 damage on board. If I use Arwen, that'll be lethal if they don't have an instant. Now I need to use Pathfinder for it to be lethal. Now I think I need to use Pathfinder and Arwen, because I'm currently dealing 5 damage. I guess I can't lethal. I can make it 9 damage to them. So we're doing 5 right now. I can add 4 to that damage, which isn't going to be lethal. And these are both chumps, so I guess I'm just going to let the chumps happen so I can play Pippin and hold up the Arwen ability. Since I can't quite hit for lethal, I can just put them to 1. Drop Pippin past the turn. They just play another land. And I think that'll be game. Draw another Pippin. Send in the squad. Just buff Eowyn again. That is well over lethal. That is going to be 2-0 in game 1. So we're going to start off with a victory in round 1 out of 3. Awesome place to be as we head into round number 2. Here we are on the play, starting off round number 2. Pretty excellent hand mana-wise. We even have a Wizard's Rockets if we somehow can't cast whatever we draw into. Our opponent is on red with a turn 1 Rohirrim Lancer. Very aggressive play, not what we want to see with our slower, splashier deck here. Red-white humans feels like a potentially pretty bad matchup, but we'll see. There's a Westfold Rider turn 2. I think I need to just slow that down. Draw a card here. Hit an Errand Rider. If they don't blow up my Eowyn, that'll be pretty good. Drawn to a Pathfinder. Nothing to ramp into right now. I think I just gotta jam out my best blockers. And specifically the Legend so that I can Errand Rider next turn without getting rid of a card. There's a Spearmaster to buff the Lancer, so we take 2. Because of the Menace. Down to 17. Draw another Errand Rider of Gondor, not bad. I don't have any 1-mana cards left in the deck outside of Wizard's Rockets, so it doesn't really matter how we tap. I'll just let the auto-tapper do it. Drawn to Fear Fire Foes. I guess that is the one 1-mana card. And that's also incredible in this matchup, so pretty happy to draw that. I guess I could have given Vigilance here and maybe bluffed something for 1 red, but I think they would just block anyway, so I don't think that mattered. Could have. But Fear Fire Foes is an excellent draw. Now there's a Theoden, so we're going to kill Theoden, the Westfold Rider, and the Lancer off of 1 card sometime soon. And I have to take a beefy amount of damage, though, from this double striking Menace card. They could kill Eowyn with it. So should I just take 4 or let them kill Eowyn? I think I just take 4, because if Eowyn's still on board, I get to flat draw a card from Errand Rider next turn. It's an Oliphant. I've got the mana for it soon. That's a real bad auto tap. We need the green source up for Pathfinder. There's Aragorn, which is very castable here. Drop the Pathfinder. We've got a nice wide board state to block whatever they're doing. If I really want to get aggressive, I could First Strike or Vigilance and Errand Rider here. I don't think I want to. Maybe Vigilance, Errand Rider attack is fine there. Oh, they've got a Frodo, and then they drop Westfold Rider for double strike. Yep. So Frodo's not very scary if they don't have black mana, so I'm going to let them keep Frodo, and I'm going to kill Theoden. They're just going to do the Lancer thing again. So I got to go down to 9 or lose 2 Errand Riders or 1 Eowyn. Guess I'm going down to 9. I need 4 mana to Fear Fire foes here, so if I spend 4 on Aragorn, I only have 3 mana up for the Fear Fire foes, which is not enough unless I kill Frodo instead of Theoden, and that's definitely not the line. Red and 3. They can make Frodo the Ring Bearer, and then I'm not going to have a great blocker for that, but if they level up Frodo to make it a 2/3, I can just keep blocking it with Eowyn, which is fine. Now I've got enough blockers, and they have a few enough attackers that I'm going to First Strike and send Errand Rider in. I think I should have sent a Vigilant Errand Rider in last turn, because any of their trades would have been fine for us. Oh, Lord. They're a double Theoden deck? That's going to be a problem. It's going to be a big problem. So that's 2 guaranteed damage unless I chump with Pathfinder. So down to 7. There's a Rosy Cotton, so now we have 2 1/1s to block Frodo. Not if Frodo's double striking. I can play Aragorn and Rosie here, and that'll be multiple tokens thanks to Aragorn's ability, so we'll get a 1/1 human, and then a food token and a counter. Counter on... Definitely not one of my 1/1s. I don't want to put a counter on a 1/1. I want to be able to block Ring Bearers. I think I'm just going to keep Eowyn out of combat for the most part, so I'll just put a counter on the Errand Rider. Vigilant that one and attack both. If they want to trade into one, that's fine. Okay, they're down to 10. We've got a race on our hands. Got a food token to eat as well to gain some life. Protector of Gondor is pretty excellent with Theoden on board. They can give 2 creatures double strike, but they do have to worry about the crackback. We have a really wide board state, and they're at 10 life. So we can block everything they attack with here, and then just attack back at them for a lot. I'm also 1 land away from Pathfinder giving something +3/+3 trample, so they might want to consider that as well with their choices here of attacks. And they're just going to send in the Frodo, so I'll just chump with a 1/1 token. They'll leave everybody else back. Do not draw into the land I need to give something +3/+3 trample this turn. I can cast an Errand Rider and draw a card and have the mana up to eat a food and get a 1/1 token off Aragorn. Or I can cast an Oliphant and deal 3 to them off of Aragorn. Deal 3 could find lethal if they play out their blocks wrong here, so I don't think I'm attacking with Aragorn. I think I'm just sending in the 2 Errand Riders, giving this one First Strike. This way, if they don't block, they just die. If they do block, they lose a couple creatures, and then we're going to have 2 more creatures post-combat. Plus, we can eat the food to gain some life. Alright, cool. They're going to stop all the damage, fair enough. I can definitely make sure I don't die next turn with this Errand Rider. I could tap one of the Great Halls. A red source, I'm low on red cards in the deck, and a green. Oops, I need to tap a white source. What am I on about? Doofused that up a little bit. Let's buff Eowyn here. Drawn to Arwen. Can't cast Arwen and eat my food. I've got exactly enough to cast Arwen if I don't eat my food. I'm going to cast the Arwen here. Because I do have the mana to give something lifelink, and I have so many 1 toughness blockers for whatever ring bearer they have. We're just trumping with a 1/1 that I don't think it should be easy for them to find 7 damage here at all. There's a Westfold Rider. That'll give Frodo double strike. There's a Battle-Scarred Goblin. I think we have turned this into a victory. Aragorn has just done some disgusting stuff here. Frodo doesn't even attack in well anymore now that we have Arwen on board. Because we just make one of our 1/1s a 2/2 indestructible lifelink. Eat up the Frodo and gain some life. And then just kill them on the crackback, I'm fairly certain. They have 4 blockers for all this nonsense. Block, block, block. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not quite lethal. There's a banish. Alright, they're not dead in 1 turn. But they're really close. I guess I just first strike Aragorn and attack with everybody and try to kill them with an Oliphant post-combat. That probably guarantees lethal. Because that makes sure that Aragorn does not die here no matter what, which means that we just cast an Oliphant and deal 3 after this. And they can't stop. They can't stop more than 7 damage here. Yeah, they're just going to take it. Fair enough. 1-0 to start off round 2. So we're against an aggressive red-white humans decks. Fear Fire Foes is really important here. If we did not have Fear Fire Foes, that game would have gone drastically differently and we probably would have lost. Got a bunch of Theodens we could try to Lost to Legend, but then they just redraw Theoden later, which is still bad for us. But maybe later we've got more of an established board state to survive. Sheriff is also potential removal for a little bit, but we're so low on tokens in general. We've got 1, 2. We have 2 cards that make tokens, really, so I don't think Sheriff is where it's at. I think we're just going to run it back, hope for a solid draws again. Yeah, just run it back. Alright, so here we are for game 2 of round 2. This time the red-white humans aggro deck is on the play, so we gotta be quite scared of that. Definitely happy to start this round off with a victory, so that's game 3. We get to be on the play again, because I think that's going to be really important. Speaking of things that are very important, Fear Fire Foes is really important in this matchup, so I'm going to keep the hand and really hope that Errand Rider of Gondor can help us find the right kinds of mana here. A mountain and a Great Hall in particular would be awesome. Gotta find that red source soon, though. Find a Woe's Pathfinder, or a mountain, or an Oliphant, or anything like that. The Great Hall, we don't need to find that for a while. It's going to be a long time till we're dropping a Balrog down. Westfold Rider, there's something that dies to Fear Fire Foes. I've drawn nothing but plains and forests this game, which is not what we're looking for off the top. We don't need to draw any more lands, except for off-color lands. So plains and forests are the worst draws in our deck right now. Island would also be a pretty bad draw. But everything else is fine. Mountain's great, Great Halls are fine, and non-land cards are great. Particularly non-land castable spells. So Westfold Rider has jammed in for 3, and they've dropped a Took Reaper down. Now I'll play the 2/4 as a better blocker than the Errand Rider. Very solid draw there. Well, I'm going to get blown up by whatever spell they've got, but I got to clear out some of these creatures here. I'm going to kill the Took Reaper. So there's a lot more cards that could kill Eowyn if I block the Westfold Rider than the Took Reaper, because then I can just get Fear Fired and stuff. Smite the Deathless it is. Okay, drop the Errand Rider. Really hoping for just not more forests and plains. We've drawn 3 of those this game now. Well, I did specify last time I was talking about what cards could be bad draws that an island would also be a bad draw, but I didn't specify when I cast the Errand Rider, so that's on me. But island is indeed also a pretty bad draw. Okay, we've got 6 cards left that are really bad draws. We've got 3 forests, 3 plains. And now, I guess we're not even really on Fear Fire foes anymore because we've just wiped the board regardless. Rosie with no creatures on board. Play around a haste thing here. If they have a haste thing, it's going to be like Eomer that just gets around Rosie anyway, so I'm just going to wait. Shadowfax. Alright, Shadowfax is also too big for Rosie to matter against. So we're down to 10. Oh my god. All mana all day, but no Great Halls for this Balrog next turn. Now I kind of gotta just play Rosie to gain some life at least. But I'm not gonna chump. I'm just gonna gain 3 and go to 9. Alright, that's cute. Take 6. Down to 4. Go up to 7 off this food token. Find a Stew the Conies. Alright, well, this is kind of why I don't like playing 4 or 5 color splashy decks. This is what I'm used to. First 3 games all played out excellently mana-wise, but that game we super lost for mana issues. I suppose those are the same kind of mana issues for the most part that could have happened with any deck, like we were really flooding as well. But still a pretty big bummer, not a super fun game of Magic. 1-1, no real changes to the deck, still pretty solid. We're just going to jam it out for game 3, hope to draw a little better. Alright, we got the Wizard's Rockets into Pippin. Could be a fine start. I don't actually have another creature to give protection to with Pippin, which is a little bit awkward. Got the Oliphant to ramp up into the Balrog. Not really ramp, but make sure that we hit all our land drops into Balrog. Okay, let's drop the Pippin because we also draw a card sacking the Rockets. Find a Woe's Pathfinder, but we don't have a green source here. Got 7 green sources in the deck. Find a Banish for the Lancer. I don't know if we want to just pop that on a 1-1. I don't think we do. Hit for 2, pass the turn. Oh yeah, we can't cycle the Oliphant because I only have 1 mount in this deck. Good thing I have not cycled Oliphant left. We need to remember that. We can't actually cycle that for anything. There's the Theoden. We get hit for 2 damage now. We'll be banishing a tapped Theoden, but I'm about to take probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage next turn, most likely. There's the Shire Terrace for the green source for Pathfinder. Because I can't grab a swamp. I don't have 1 swamp in the deck for the terrace. That is a halfling knight. That is not a human, so at least there's that. No double strike this turn. They jam with everybody, they draw a card. Yep. And then I trade Pippin into Mary here. And banish the Theoden during our turn. Plan to drop a 6/4 the turn after that. I can banish Theoden and play Pathfinder next turn. There's a Westfold Rider, so Pathfinder can trade into that. Errand Rider of Gondor. Better to just banish this Theoden than drop an Errand Rider right now. Yep, if we hit a land, we're jamming out an Oliphant. If not, we've got an Errand Rider. They've got another Theoden again. Seems good. Did they get like 3 Theoden in our draft pot, or did they just get lucky enough to draw double Theoden in 2 of these games? Can't really Aragorn. I don't have the mana to Aragorn and cast anything else, and if I cast Aragorn, Pathfinder's tapped, so I have a single blocker up. We die to a lot of things if I just do that. So let's Errand Rider. Find a Pippin that I can cast. Ditch the Oliphant, these other cards are better. 2 blockers, let's go. There's Protector of Gondor with the Theoden on board. That is a nail in the coffin type play. We have 0 good blocks here. All we do is chump, chump. It's the only chump I have to make, but I go to 2 life if I do that with no life gain coming up. But I've got to block Westfold Rider. I can't try to double block and kill Theoden, or I die to 7 damage from those 2. Guess I might as well kill Westfold Rider then and go to 2. Lose my board. Got a Samwise too? Their deck is wild. My lord. The Dream Red-White Humans aggro deck. Gonna be pretty hard to win matchup for us, and stumbling on mana the last 2 games are gonna give our opponents some easy victories to close out that round, so bad matchup with some bad draws as well. Gonna lead to some real quick deaths in round 2. Here we are for round 3 with a Great Hall of the Citadel in our opening hand for a turn 2 Pippin. That should be spectacular. Turn 2 Pippin into turn 3 Errand Rider of Gondor thanks to Eagles of the North. I think that's the only way I guarantee a turn 3 Errand Rider of Gondor. So let's plane cycle the Eagles to guarantee that. And then next turn we go Great Hall Pippin, turn 3 we go Plains, Errand Rider. Drawn to a Wizard's Rockets. That's not the Great Hall. Oh my god. I clicked on the wrong non-basic land. That's really disappointing. Now our curve is significantly worse. But at least I get to draw a card off Wizard's Rockets because I have perfect mana for everything in my deck at this point, so I might as well draw my card. Find a Pathfinder. That could cost us a lot here because we're playing pretty far off curve from that. Oh, now they just torment the Errand Rider and I draw straight garbage because we have 7 lands right now. Literally just misclick myself to death. Obviously nothing wrong with my thought process in the plays this game, just the buttons I clicked in the digital game of Magic. Yep, that is an exceptional card. So we play against the Dream Red-White Humans deck with at least 2 Theodens, but statistically based on their draws, triple Theoden. Or they just got really lucky. And now we play against Dunlin, Crebain, Torment of Golem, Claim the Precious, all like pack 1 pick oneable black commons. The Dream Black-Red aggro deck. Going to be a pretty devastating couple of final rounds for us here, I think. I'm still going to do the best I can, but I don't imagine we've got a great shot in this final round. Yep, they've got Muster as well. Not a single filler card has been cast so far, all premium commons. Down to 8, since we can't block the Orc Army profitably anymore. Now I jam out an Arwen. Hold up the mana to crack my Shire Terrace for a landfall trigger and use Arwen for lifelink. Or I could just get a 6 lifelink swing in right now if I use Arwen immediately. 7 if I crack the Shire Terrace. I think I would rather hold up on blocks and try to get away to kill the Orc Army. Urkai Berserker, another absolutely premium common here that's going to set up the Crebain as a looter, drawing a card and discarding a card for them every turn to let them sift into their best draws while we are playing off the top. Okay. I think I just preserve my lifelink indestructible counter on Arwen and just go for the first strike kill on the Orc here. Force them to cast something for it to not just die, and then we can use Arwen in response if they do cast the something. Cast the ambush, and now we'll do the thing. But it's not going to be big enough to kill it. We just get to keep Strider. That's a bummer. It's going to be 7 toughness. Gotta make sure to keep the Strider, though. Errand Rider off the top is not bad. I think I should leave Fearfire Foe's mana up. So do this and draw a card. Got 8 lifelinking power on board. That's really big. And now we can drop an Aragorn. I think I just jam in for lifelink here. Arwen might just be busted enough to save us from our early misclick this round. Yeah, we're up to 21 now, which is insane. Now they have to nasty end the Crebain to draw 3. Their deck's really, really good. It's just a streamlined, well-built black-red deck here. Like, every card they've played is just a premium black or red common. Nasty End's not quite premium, but it's definitely very good in the archetype. Okay. Some decently lucky stuff from us there. We never missed a land drop, so it's not like we got, like, tremendously lucky. We didn't quite get flooded because we still had cards to play, but the big, really important thing was drawing into Arwen there. But these other creatures could have been any of our decent creatures alongside the Arwen to turn that around. So Arwen was a really good draw. That was super lucky. Almost just misclicked ourselves out of the game. Not curving out Pippin turn 2, Errand Rider turn 3, because then they had the Torment for the Errand Rider, and that was all super bad. But yeah, this is just a real good black-red deck. Torment, Claim the Precious, Mortar Muster, Ambush, and Crebain are all, and Berserker. Basically everything they cast is a very high win rate, very great black common, outside of Nasty End, which is still very good in the archetype because it doesn't have a lot of other card draw. So I really like their deck. I think it's super well built, super streamlined, but as we saw that game, if we can get some great hauls down to where whatever random legendary nonsense we draw, it can be castable, we can kind of just try to bomb them out later in the game. So I don't think I need to sideboard too much. They are an aggressive deck. They're not as aggressive as last round. That was one thing we could have maybe done differently last round. I mean, I drew pretty poorly in the last 2 games, so I don't think sideboarding much would have changed much. But that was something I forgot to do, was probably put in a Cavalier and a Nimble Hobbit just to have more early blockers against that red-white aggro deck. The black-red decks are a little bit slow. They're still aggressive, but they're a little slower, and they play like beefier later game creatures, which little like 2/2s and stuff aren't super helpful against. Eastmark Cavalier's fine, because it can blow up the army at any point. But I don't think it's great here or like super necessary. Might be better than like Rosie Cotton, I suppose, since we have like no token production, and Rosie by herself's pretty bad. Alright, that's fine. We'll cut a Rosie for an Eastmark Cavalier. That's probably what we could have changed last round, cut a Rosie for a Nimble Hobbit or something. Okay, excellent mana. Magic Arena gives us a chance to redeem ourselves and actually play the Great Hall of the Citadel into Pippin Errand Rider this time. I've got a Pathfinder though for mana ramp, which is always tempting to play first, but I'm going to play Pippin Errand Rider. Mortar Muster turn 2 for our opponent. If they play a Crebain the turn after that, they're going to be getting nice and aggro here. So we're going to drop a Pippin, then we're going to crack our Rockets to play Errand Rider next turn. And then if we don't find a natural plains, we can get a Pathfinder down. We found a filler card. Swarming of Moria is definitely quite a bit more filler than everything else they've been playing so far. There's a Saruman coming up. All right. Definitely casting Errand Rider off the Wizard's Rockets. We're drawing 2 cards because we're drawing 1 from Rockets and 1 from the Errand Rider. And we're just looking for lands in those top 2. There's an Errand Rider. And what's the next card? An Eastmark Cavalier. Well, they're not bad draws, but they're not lands. We still have another turn to hit a land before we're missing a land drop. So I could just play a Lembas next turn if I don't hit a land, since I don't have the white source for Errand Rider unless I cast Woe's Pathfinder. So let's just jam in with Pippin with that Vigilance. We can give Errand Rider protection from creatures and get a free block here. And then we'll see what we draw into next turn, and that'll affect our plays. If I draw Plains, I'll probably play Errand Rider. If I draw a non-Plains land, I'll play Pathfinder plus Lembas, and if I don't draw land at all, I'll just play Lembas and look for a land. There's Claim the Precious on Pippin. We give Errand Rider protection from creatures, so we can block this turn, keep them from attacking us. But Pippin is very dead to the Claim the Precious. The Cavalier is actually a fine draw if we find the white source. There's another Great Hall, so that is a non-Plains land. So we're going to play Pathfinder and Lembas as the play. It's Lembas first. If I hit a Plains, I'd rather have a Plains on board than a second Great Hall of the Citadel. Got a Saruman in the hand if we get to 6 mana. I think I need a Plains badly enough, though, to scry out of the forest. And Eagles of the North can get my Plains. I'm really hoping to just naturally draw land next turn. And again, with 3 white cards, I think it was worth the risk of ditching the forest, because if I kept the forest, yes, I would guarantee I'm casting Saruman of many colors this turn. But good lord, do we need a Plains for these other cards if Pathfinder dies? Alright, we're going to trade Errand Rider into this army, even though we might have a Cavalier coming up. Just getting the Ring Bearer off the board's important. Ooh, ambush for their treasure token? It's pretty good. Yep. Rohirrim is another super premium card. They just have a really, really good deck here. Now we have a Fear Fire Foes, which is castable. I guess Banish is castable off of the Pathfinder, so I can just banish the army. Keep them from drawing and discarding again. If I banish the army, I have 2 mana left, which I can use to cycle the Eagles of the North and play Eastmark Cavalier. Cavalier can't trade into the Rohirrim, though. It only trades into armies. Could Fear Fire Foes and cycle at Eagles and just hold up no blockers. But I'd like to save Fear Fire Foes in case they end up playing a Kerbane. That'll end up playing pretty well. I think we are on Banish Cavalier here. Balrog. I don't have the mana for that yet. Just jam out a Saruman. Still at 13. Worst case scenario, we're taking 4 from Rohirrim on the crackback. Alright. Hit for 2, cast a Saruman. Might try to double spell with Saruman and see what kind of nonsense happens. Ooh, Orcish Bowmasters for my Pathfinder. That is the highest win rate card in the entire format. Their deck is incredible. Fear Fire Foes is very good against the Bowmasters, though. If they don't make the army bigger this turn, even if they make the army bigger, being able to kill Rohirrim and the Bowmasters is a big deal. They're going to claim the Precious on my Eastmark Cavalier, so we don't have something that could kill a big army. And then they make the Rohirrim, or make the Bowmasters a Ring Bearer. I'll take the 5, because I'm going to try to double spell with Saruman this turn. I need a red and 3, and I need 3 mana for Errand Rider. I guess I can't quite double spell here, but I am going to fear the Rohirrim away regardless, which means that the Saruman sticks around. So Fear for 3, and then I'll have 2 mana up to eat my Lembas. I think it might be better to play around another ambush than hold the mana up to eat the food. Yeah, I'm going to spend 5. So even if they have an ambush to give it +1/+2, it still dies. So they need like Nasty End to beat that, and they do not have Nasty End, so let's poke for 5. Okay, play a land, drop a Fell Beast against Saruman. That's so rude. That's so rude. Ah, and I didn't hit a land, so I'm still a mana away from Balrog. I can cast Eowyn off of the Great Hall, then Errand Rider to straight up draw a card instead of having to ditch one. Hoping for a land for the Balrog to just kill them next turn. Arwen's real good too. If I don't just get one shot by the Fell Beast with some kind of like improvised club to shoot me for 4. There's a Relentless Rohirrim, which means we get one shot by the Fell Beast. Wait, no. 7 damage, not 8. Close to one shot. If they have any trick, we're getting one shot. Oh my god. Oh my god, so I'm at 1 life. I could cast a Balrog here, but that's not gonna kill them because they're at 13, and the Balrog's gonna hit for 7. Attack with everybody, they block Errand Rider and take 9, which doesn't kill them. So we need to play Arwen, Lifelink, and eat a Lembas. I need to go to 8 life. This is gonna put me, I gain 4, I go up to 5, I eat Lembas, I go up to 8. That's exactly enough life. Can't attack with Eowyn then, though. Because then they can block Eowyn with Rohirrim, and I can't afford to give Eowyn the +1/+1 in lifelink. Or I go to 7 and die. So Vigilant the Errand Rider then. Attack with the Errand Rider. Gain 4. Eat the Lembas. Gain 3 more. Okay, if they don't find a trick or a burn spell or something, if I get another turn, I live. Well, if I get another turn, I kill them, I think. And I gain 7. So if I don't manage to kill them, then I live. Let's see. Go to 1. Swarming of Moria for a blocker. I have 7 life gain on board, which puts me back up to 8. Which is not dead to 1 Voracious Fell Beast hit. Can I kill them? No, because they've got the food, so they're at 12. But Balrog kills them in 2 swings, pretty guaranteed, so we just... Oh god. I think I Vigilance the Balrog? They can only kill 1 of the lifelinkers. I think I need to make sure they can't crack back at all on the ground, so let's Vigilance the Balrog. Can't lethal them because if I attack all, they go block, block, take 9, but gain 3. So I'm not going to attack with Eowyn, again to have more ground troops. Okay. Go down to 1 on board. Go down to 1. Oh my god. What a lucky ending to that. Oh, Jesus. So they got to draw and discard a card like the past 3 turns in a row, and they could not find a way to deal just 1 extra damage with a combat trick or a burn spell or something like that. That was real scary. That was a really good deck. Again, everything in there was pretty incredible except for the swarmings, which are still fine. Really well drafted, well built deck there. But some explosive legends just gonna find us the victories there. Mainly Arwen being completely busted, but Balrog helping us speed up the clock, not have to survive as long there. All right, sweet stuff. We are 2-1 out of today's traditional draft. Solid place to be. Definitely a bummer not to get a 3-win run with this deck, get the full prizes. That would have been really cool, but I don't think there was much we could have done in round 2. That was just a really rough matchup. The most aggressive archetype in the format, and it was definitely quite open in their draft pod because they also had a very well-built, well-played red-white humans deck. Tons of Theodins and aggressive menacing humans and 3-1 humans, and it was a super rough matchup. I don't think that I played out. I think I played fine. I don't think I built the deck perfectly. I totally just forgot how to sideboard because I've been playing a bunch of Premier drafts lately. So I think in round 2 I should have actually done some sideboarding and put in some 2-mana creatures against those red-white humans, and that would have given us a little bit more of a chance against their more aggressive curves. Still don't think we'd be finding victories there. They were doing really explosive things in our 2 losses, and we were just finding like the wrong colors of mana and just some awkward stuff like that. So that is where these kind of 5-color decks do drop off a bit. They are going to dirtle around with the mana early game, setting things up in some games, and that can be punishing in any game where it takes a long time to hit the mana. Like round 2, game 2 of round 2, and then just dirtling with mana even a little bit set up in the early game is always punishing against aggro. So game 1, 2, and 3 of round 2, I think we were just naturally behind being a slower 4-color kind of deck. So we definitely saw the weaknesses of the deck showing up in the games that we lost. But we also saw the strengths of the deck really showing up in our victories. We got to cast a Balrog, we got to cast a Saruman, we got to cast an Aragorn, we got to cast a Strider, an Arwen, we got to cast both Pippins in one of those games. So we got to do every single legend in our deck. We got to cast every spell in here except for an Eagles of the North. I only cycled one of those, but that's fine. We got to play all the cards, do all of the things, and have a pretty fun time with some crazy, splashy stuff. So really fun deck, nice to play a pretty different archetype from what we've been playing lately, and get a decent 2-1 run with it. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.